My name is Randy Bigley. Joining me right now from Crawford County Veterans Services, Mike Amsbaugh. Hello, Mike.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good.
What is one of the subjects you hear a lot about that we haven't talked about?
A lot of times it's the burial allowance.
Yeah.
Well, burial allowance is one of the benefits. It's burial benefits as a whole. So burial benefits can be broken down into two groups. So there's those that provide something. So Presidential Memorial Certificate, VA headstone or marker, burial flag, reissuance of medals, ribbons, and awards, things like that. And then there's those things that provide a monetary benefit. The monetary benefits are dependency indemnity compensation. So if the veteran was in receipt of compensation at the 100% level for 10 years or more prior to death, their spouse, their survivor, can receive dependency indemnity compensation. You'll hear it referred to as DIC. They don't have to pass away from their service-connected conditions. They're 100%. They've been 100% for 10 years or more. They can pass away from anything.
Okay.
Or a veteran who dies because of a service-connected condition. They don't have to be 100%, but let's say they're service-connected for a heart condition, and the death certificate says that is the proximal cause of death. That survivor can receive DIC.
Okay.
There's surviving spouse's pension, which is the veteran doesn't pass away because of a service-connected condition. They probably weren't in receipt of compensation at the time of death. They could be, but they may not be. The veteran is an honorably discharged wartime veteran. The spouse can apply for what's called surviving spouse's pension. It's based on their income and their net worth. So the VA has like an income limit.
Okay.
And then if the survivor's income is below that limit, the difference between the limit and the spouse's income, that's what's paid. That's the benefits divided over 12 months and then paid monthly. The VA also looks at net worth, and they look at net worth a little bit differently than other agencies. So they're not looking at your car, and they're not looking at the furnishings. They're not necessarily looking at the home unless it's a farm. They have an income limit, which is, I think it's $150,000 this year. So if they're looking at stocks and bonds and checking and savings and CDs and IRAs and 401ks, securities, annuities, things like that. So it's one of those things where in some instances it is a good benefit. We always try to get the person DIC if we can. And then there's the burial allowance. So if the veteran was in receipt of compensation or died of a service-connected condition, then a burial allowance can be paid. And it's not designed to pay for the funeral, it's designed to help defray those costs.
Okay.
Now, my office also provides a benefit for placement of a VA marker or headstone in a private cemetery. So let's say the veteran passes away and they decide to be buried at Oakwood, and they want to have a VA marker. Okay, my office will pay Oakwood, or depends. Some cemeteries like Oakwood, we pay them because Oakwood deducts that from the cost of placement of the marker. Some cemeteries, they charge the full price, and then I need the family member to bring us the receipt showing that they paid for it. And then we'll pay a certain amount toward that placement of that marker, just as a way of helping the family and setting the marker, defraying the cost, so to speak. And then you've got you've got the non-monetary, you've got the monetary, and then you've got like a special benefit or special one, which is for Navy veterans. It's burial at sea.
Oh, wow, okay.
So the Navy still does that.
Okay.
Now, they used to only do cremains. So you have to contact the Department of the Navy, and they have a certain set of regulations. It used to be that they only did cremains. So
Okay.
you would have the veteran cremated. They told you how to package the cremains, what kind of urn or container the cremains could be in, how to send them to them, where to send them, so if it was East Coast or West Coast. And then the family was not allowed to go aboard ship when the
Okay.
cremains were committed to the sea, but the family would get a copy of the ship's log showing, when that happened and where that happened, and it'd also get the burial flag.
Okay.
The Navy now allows full casketed remains.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's a whole different thing. Obviously you've got to have a funeral home involved in it.
Yeah.
You may be shipping that service man or woman, the veteran, a far distance. So if you live in Ohio and you want to have them buried off the East Coast, you're shipping probably to Norfolk.
Yeah.
That's a distance. It's not
Yeah.
something that you can FedEx.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
actually is how the Navy wanted cremains shipped. Was
Just FedEx?
Yeah,
Really?
just
Really?
they had a certain set of regulations and they recommended FedEx.
So you mail them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is you have to have the correct casket. It has to be banded shut.
Okay.
It has to have holes drilled in it so that it has to be weighted. It has to have holes
So it doesn't float.
so it doesn't float.
Yeah.
Yes. And other than that, it's pretty much the same. The family doesn't go out with the warship, but they do get a copy of the ship's log that shows where and when and the flag and so forth. But the whole ceremony is performed by the Navy aboard ship in accordance with U.S. naval regulations.
Okay.
So it is something that is interesting. The Navy also does internment. So if the veteran was a survivor of Pearl Harbor and had served aboard the Arizona, the family can have that veteran's cremains interred aboard the Arizona. So they had to be at Pearl Harbor when the attack occurred and had to have been a member of the crew of the Arizona.
Okay.
So I mean, a very small pool of veterans.
Probably not that many of them left. Those people left either.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that group.
We're talking like maybe one or two, and
Yeah.
that was as of a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could have their cremains interred aboard the wreck of the Arizona.
Okay. Okay.
But so yeah, burial benefits are you can pre-plan. Obviously, you can pre-plan your funeral. If you decide that you wanted to be buried at a national cemetery, you can do a pre-need application with the National Cemetery Administration. Our office can help you do that. And basically, you just then give the paperwork. Once that's all been processed, we submit it. The National Cemetery Administration gets back with you. You take that paperwork and give it to the funeral home if you're pre-planning your funeral, and that's all taken care of. You've got the funeral home side taken care of. They know where the burial's going to be. The National Cemetery Administration knows to expect you. They don't hold a grave site. They used to do that years ago, and that kind of caused problems. They didn't do pre-need, but they, there would be, we'll hold a grave. They don't do that anymore, but they do the pre-need so that they know that this veteran is going to be buried at this cemetery.
If someone wants more information, how can they do that?
They can reach us at our office. Our phone number is 419-562-7761. We also have a website. It's Crawford County Veterans Ohio. .com, I believe. I don't believe it's .org.
And where's your office located at?
We're located here in Bucyrus.
Okay.
It's 112 East Mansfield Street, Suite 95. So that's the lower level of the administrative side of the courthouse.
Okay.
Here in downtown Bucyrus.
All right. Mike, thank you so much for that information.
Thank you, Randy. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Take care.